Welcome to the Is It Just Me podcast. I am your host, Dr. Angie Inch. This podcast will entail truthful, transparent conversation about everyday life and the lessons learned. This podcast is for everyone, from teenagers to the elderly. Although some topics may be rated R, every topic is based on living life and learning life lessons. Today's topic, we're going to talk about girl code. And I know girl code is not specific to everyone. Every set of friends have their own girl code. But what is girl code is what we're going to talk about. What are the rules of girl code? What happens when those girl code rules are broken? But before we get started, I'd like to state this disclaimer that I am not an expert and everything discussed is the independent opinion and reality of myself. What is girl code? Because everyone's definition of girl code might vary, but girl code should be like a standard set of rules that girlfriends should follow. I'm not going to get into like what type of friends should follow girl code because it just gets too complicated. But I feel like if someone is your friend, and I mean considered your friend, you guys are friends, you're a group of friends, everyone should follow girl code. Girl code is a set of rules that women who are friends should know and follow. Girl code is basically like the do's and don'ts of a good friendship. This is going to be subjective because everybody doesn't have the same definition of what it is to be a friend, as well as what rules you should follow when being a good friend. But for the most part, I feel like in any friendship with girlfriends, these rules should be followed. I'm going to discuss girl code rules that should pertain to all friendships. Growing up, as a young teenager and a young adult, when you hang out with your friends and you do different things, you have your own set of rules and do's and don'ts. And some of those still stick as you get older. And there's some you might edit or delete based on the relationship and the maturity. What do you consider girl code? So I know when we were younger, my girlfriends and I, when we would go out clubbing, one of the rules that we always stuck to when we went out clubbing was we come together, we leave together. And that was our rule. If we came together, we left together. But of course, as we got older, we started messing with guys, had a boyfriend, had a slide, a situation, whatever. Of course, the rule changed. However, we still let one another know what was going on. The only time that that rule was broken, again, is if your boyfriend, your husband, a dude you was messing with was at the club and you decided to leave the club with that person. But it never was a time where we all showed up to the club together that we did not leave together or we did not know where the other individual went. I feel like that's a great rule to have when going out because people are weird and there's a lot of weird shit going on. So I feel like that's a girl code rule that should be like unanimous across the board when you go out with your girlfriends. I have a couple that I feel should be anonymous, but that one is definitely number one. If you're on the party scene, you cover your girl's back. You make sure she's good, especially if you out, you drink, you get drunk. You're not going to just let your friend wander off drunk because, you're not in your right state of mind when you're drunk. Anything can happen. So that's the number one rule that I feel it should be unanimous. It's not the number one rule, but one of the rules that should be unanimous across the board when discussing girl code. When you hanging out, when you clubbing, we come together, we leave together. That's one of the rules. Now the number one rule to me, what my friendship is in girl code is if you had him, I don't want him. I'm not interested in dealing with any man that my friend has dealt with. Now, again, this can be subjective depending on the relationship because I know some females who don't have a problem with messing with someone's ex. I'm not that girl. I will never be that girl. I do not want to sit down and compare notes to what he did to me in the bedroom to what he did to you in the bedroom. I don't want him. If he's interested in my friend, he was dating my friend, he was talking to my friend, whatever the fuck was going on between him and my friend, I don't want him. Now, again, there are some females who feel like, oh, but you could be blocking your blessings because just because he didn't work out with your friend doesn't mean he doesn't work out with you. And that very well may be true, but guess what? Those blessings will be blocked because I don't want anybody that slept with my friend. That's my number one girl code rule. If you had him, I don't want him. And I take it so far as to, even if it's someone who's not my friend, if it's someone that I know and we're associates and we speak, I don't want him. And I know I'm from Harlem. For those of you that don't know, Harlem is not that big. And of course, you're going to bump heads with somebody. But if it's someone, when I was on the dating scene, I haven't been on the dating scene in over 20 years. But when I was on the dating scene and or messing around scene, situation scene, whatever. If it was a guy that I know that was interested in my friend, that messed with my friend, that talked to my friend, that tried to do whatever with my friend, he couldn't get next to me. That's just me. Again, that's subjective because there are some individuals who don't believe in that. I'm one that's my number one rule. You had him, I don't want him. And I feel like that should be standard across the board. That would stop a lot of the bickery and messiness with females if we all band together and we let these niggas know, like, she had you, I don't want you. But again, just my opinion. Another girl code rule: when it comes to a group of friends and your friends have siblings, I feel like if you're interested in your friend's sibling, speak to your friend first to see how your friend feels about you messing around with their sibling before dealing with them. And I only say this because I've known friendships to break up and people not be friends anymore because they were dating their friend's sibling and they felt some type of way because the sibling knew that he was cheating and didn't let you know. Now, let me go a step further. You have to place people where they belong in your life. And at the end of the day, I always say blood just makes you related, the loyalty makes you family. However, you can't expect someone to always put you as their friend in front of their sibling, especially if they have a great relationship. I know that me personally, if I was interested in my friend's sibling, I would have that conversation with them first just to see how they would feel and how that would affect our friendship because I value friendships. There's some people who don't value friendships. So if you're interested in your friend's sibling and you think that it's gonna be something, or you think that it's gonna be a one night stand, or y'all just fucking or whatever, I feel you should have that conversation with your friend about your interests or whatever it is you plan to do with their sibling. That's just my opinion. This is all based on my opinion. Another thing in girl code: when you have your girlfriends, and sometimes when you're friends with someone and they're in a long-term relationship, you become friends with that guy. Never tell your friend's man anything she has told you about their relationship. I'm going to repeat: never tell your friend's man anything that she has told you about their relationship. Not only is that going to cause friction in your friendship, it's going to cause friction in their relationship because most guys do not want their girlfriends, friends to know things about them. And when I say that, you know how us girls do. We talk about shit. And in the beginning, when you're with a guy, you might talk about the sex because it's new and y'all don't know where it's going to end up. This shit is good. And he got the triple D's. And for those that don't know what the triple D's is, that's the dope dick. You start telling your friend about all of those things. As the relationship progresses and now he becomes your man, it's certain things that your man does not want your friends to know about him. Did you let them know early on about how great the sex was and how y'all had sex in 17 different places and all of that? Probably so. But as the relationship progresses, he doesn't feel like that's something you should keep your friends abreast upon. And I agree. And sometimes friends bicker, they go through things. I've never been a fan of individuals who decide to spill the beans or to say things to their friend's boyfriend when they're mad at their friend. To me, that shows poor judgment and poor character on your part as a friend. It's just certain things you just don't do. It's just certain codes you don't break. You never let your friend's man know what you know about him. That's just something you just don't do as a girl code. And even if you and your friend are no longer friends and she's still with this guy, you remain that same friend as if you were friends when you're not friends. Again, this is subjective because I know there's going to be some people that be like, oh no, that bitch started telling my business, so I told her business. And I get it and I understand how I'm just not one of those individuals that just because you did something to me, I'm going to do it to you, unless you continue to push my buttons. Now you have a problem. But other than that, I just feel like certain things and certain lines shouldn't be crossed, especially if you were friends. Now, there are times when you were a friend to individuals that weren't a friend to you. So I get it. I'm big on now, I wasn't always, being the bigger person and just letting shit be what it's gonna be. But I do understand that people know exactly what the fuck they be doing, and they really be trying to take you there, and they really be trying to have their friends and other individuals that are not your friends, or even a group of friends that you all are friends with, trying to look at you like as if you're the bad guy. So I do understand the frustration when somebody does play with you and you be like, okay, and you respond. But I just feel like in certain situations, as we mature and as we get older, you just got to be like, you know what? That speaks of the type of individual you are, and I'm gonna leave you right there. Each situation varies dependent upon what transpired and what happened. But I still feel you never let your friends' secrets, whether you were a friend to them and they weren't to you, you never let their secrets out unless it's really cool. But again, that's on a case by case basis. When you have friends and you have girl code, there are consequences for breaking girl code. Sometimes those consequences can be like people have not been friends anymore, ever. And I mean long term friendships because girl code has been broken. And there's definitely consequences for breaking girl code. But some of the main consequences for breaking girl code is the trust between the friends is gone. And we all know how that shit work with trust. It's like a broken plate. You dropped it, you broke it, you glued that shit back together again. It's never the same. And can it ever eventually get to that place? Probably, but it's going to take a lot of time for you to get there. But trust between friends can be damaged by breaking girl code. Friendships have ended because of breaking girl code. And of course, there has been irreparable damage to friendships, and the friendship hasn't been the same due to breaking girl code. I've had, not now, like in the past, where girl code was broken. And again, this a long story, so I'm not even going to get into the specifics, but it just has something to do with individuals not being honest about the relationship that they were in with a certain person, and then another friend ended up dating the person, and the person felt some type of way but lied about feeling some type of way and made it seem like it wasn't that way. It was just a whole fucking mess. And me, shit, I'm out my business. That was a lesson that I had to learn the hard way. Being the person that I am, like, well, I feel like you should say something. Nothing was said, but there's a whole backstory to why nothing was said. But I'm just saying, the relationship was never the same. And I didn't speak to this individual for probably over 10 years based off of I felt like they broke girl code when they didn't break girl code with me. They broke girl code with another one of the friends that was in our friends group. It was just a whole big mess. The relationship was never the same. It was more so I just felt like as friends, it's just certain things you just don't do. And especially when it comes to men, because these niggas will fuck you, your mother, your sister, your cousin, your best friend, your aunt. Some niggas don't give a fuck and will fuck your whole crew if you allow them to. And I just feel like as friends, we shouldn't share the same body count. That's just my personal opinion on it. So when it came to that situation, like I said, it's a whole big backstory to it that I'm not even going to get into. I just should have mind my motherfucking business. I just feel like when applying girl code, you and your girlfriends all need to be on the same page as to what girl code means to your group of friends. Because again, certain things don't apply to certain people. But if we're all a group of friends and we're all consistent and we're all on the same page and we all on the like, nah, I don't want you, the nigga that you fucked with, whether he was your nigga, whether it was your slide, whether you was a side chick, whatever. If we're all on the same page about not dealing with an ex or a slide or whatever, then we should all be on the same page. But again, like I said, girl code is subjective to each group of friends because there are some individuals who feel like if he wasn't your man, then I can fuck with him. So, again, that all depends on the friendship that you're in, the way that you guys develop your friendship and how y'all build your friendship and things like that. I'm a firm believer. I'm not sleeping with or dealing with or talking to no nigga that my friend dealt with. And that's just me. And I'm not saying I have anything against anybody who does that, but they can't be my friend if that's what you plan on doing. I'm just saying. I don't know about bro code or guy code because I'm not a guy, but I do know guys have a guy code also, and in their guy code, it's specific to some that I know, to whereas they won't deal with an ex-wife or a long-term girlfriend. But if it was somebody that you was just sleeping with, it's like, oh, that's not breaking God code. Like I could sleep with her. But again, that's subjective depending upon the friendship that you all have. Is that something that you all are consistent with? Is that something that you all believe in? If not, it's going to cause friction. Girl code is subjective. I just feel my number one rule, if you had him, I don't want him. When you go out as a group and your girls together, we come together, we leave together. You know what the exceptions to those rules are. If your man is there, your husband is there, always let someone know, oh, I'm leaving with my shorty or whatever the case may be. Never reveal anything to your friend's man that she told you about their relationship. Those are my girl code rules. And again, this is all the independent opinion of myself. But I just feel like with those three girl code rules, you should be able to have a healthy, consistent relationship. And I feel like my girl code rules applies to all of my friends. But I do know that there are some individuals who have girl code for specific friends, like only their best friend. But I feel, again, my opinion, that girl code should apply to all of your friends. Shit, I think it should apply to all fucking females, period. But we already know that's a fucking stretch. But I just feel like girl code should apply to all friends, and all friends should be on the same page when discussing what their girl code rules are. And that will limit friction and disagreements and certain things like that. Now, you're always going to have disagreements, but disagreements regarding those things, it will limit those disagreements with girl code. Thank you for joining me. I hope you join me next week where we're going to discuss cosmetic surgery. Why are the girls getting so much cosmetic surgery now? And why are so many girls lying about having cosmetic surgery? Those are some of the things that we're going to discuss next week on Is It Just Me?